Ja, bisweilen geht's auch. Mormons have hope and have faith that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true. And so they are told not to study their scriptures. They are told to have hope and faith and trust in the Lord. Hope does not feed the hungry. Hope does not clothe the naked. Hope does not heal the sick. Hope does not house the homeless, pay the rent, pay for diapers. Hope does not educate the illiterate. Hope does not drive you to work. Hope does not allow you to date the perfect girl. Hope does not bring the second coming. Hope does not create Zion. People do. We have to act and complete. Hope all by itself, faith all by itself is dead. Oh, yeah, from James, huh? Amazing. It's worthless. You've got to produce the results. That's what I needed the scriptures for. So, what if I were to tell you, Mormons, and those of you who are ex-foes? Apparently it's still not catching on. An ex-mo is one who has been excommunicated from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A foe, mo, is one who was formerly Mormon, but like me, no longer is involved in the church. We don't go to church, we don't go to the temples, we don't have temple recommend, we don't wear magic underwear anymore. I mean bondage underwear. We just want nothing to do with the church anymore because we know it's not true. We do not have hope that it is true for whatever the various reasons. And so what if I were to tell you guys that I was your prophesied Christ? Would you hastily judge me as not? Would you laugh at me? Would you mock me? Would you scorn me? Because I'm not Jesus. Would you seek to find fault with me? Would you try to catch me in a lie, like those priests of King Noah with Abinadi? Would you try to look for sin and error prove I'm not the fulfillment of prophecy? Or would you run the test and see by my fruits, my accomplishments, if I am a prophet, seer, revelator, translator of Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian? Specifically, on July 2017, I came out with a video that the wife at the time, who was being pressured to leave me and would eventually leave me in the coming days. You do know where that comes from. Who I'm mocking because I know him by his fruits. See, these are fine to do if it's a false prophet. But you have to make sure that you don't use false accusation. She knew that I was looking through the scriptures for signs in the heavens. Back in that time, as you see the title of that video, still my #1 video, because YouTube refuses to treat me equally. That video is evidence that YouTube has attacked me all these years. Hate crime, cyber terrorist hate crime, evidenced by this channel, by YouTube, against me. And so, yeah, she and I both know about the prophecy to leave and build Zion. Now, as you can tell by the title of the video, I had not found the Joseph Smith papers yet. That the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been lying to us about everything from its origins. The specific document that I would go on to find, 19 July 1840. And so if I were to have put, back then, Southern Illinois, not a single Mormon would understand what I'm talking about. Just as you still don't. So YouTube still will not leave me alone, and this year they've been escalating. Why this year? See, these are some of the things you need to be paying attention to and looking for. You should have been looking for the signs in the heavens yourself. You were told to. Section 45 that I was previously referencing, in case you didn't catch on. Let's see if I remember correctly. Yep. Section 39, verses 23 and 24, right there at the end. Those who are baptized receive the gift of the Holy Ghost are to be looking forth for the signs of the Christ's coming, so that you will know him. Behold, he comes quickly. 200 years, huh? 200 years. So what signs are you supposed to be looking for? so that you will know him. How can a sign in the heavens allow you to know him? Because he'll be the only one talking about him. Still to this day. Because he's a prophet, a seer, a revelator, and a translator of Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. You will know him by his fruits, his accomplishments, by his words. When you take those words and you produce their fruit, the consequences. And so, yeah, the ex threatened me to find a specific date for the Exodus because she didn't want to walk. And that stressed her out, and she missed the first big sign that started it all off for the latter days. That announced the coming of him the very next month. To you, Mormons. Not to the world, though the whole world will hear of him and know of him. But his ministry is to Mormons only. So if all of this doesn't sound familiar, you're not getting the right feeling. Why? It's because you've been lied to. You've been told Jesus is real, and you need to have hope in Jesus. You need to have faith in Jesus. And so anybody else who steps forward and makes a claim or demonstrates the gifts, you still won't believe, because you believe in Jesus. And you didn't bother to study to know that Jesus was created by Roman Emperor Constantine, but instead of non-Trinitarian, as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims, he's Trinity. Homoousion. Not real. So for the Church of Jesus Christ to just simply change the nature and character of Constantine's created abomination doesn't make it true now, because there was more changes and replacements in that first creed that created Christianity. In 325 CE, created Christianity. Christianity did not exist prior to 325 CE. And it is from the first creed of the creation of Christianity that says, no, we did exist before. And over 4 billion people on the earth today still believe that. So it's like the Greeks, or the Romans, or the Babylonians, or the Persians, or the Hittites, or the people on the mountain of Salem, who all claim they existed before they existed. Thus denies science. Because Christianity, claiming they existed before they existed, is a denial of history, denial of the facts, denial of truth, denial of science. And so for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to believe everything else in the first creed creating Christianity that did not exist before, but merely to change the nature and character of Jesus, still makes it false. And so if you're confused and you're concerned and you're going through a faith crisis, you're having a mental meltdown, did you never bother to read your Book of Mormon? Learning of the Jews. You know, what was replaced by Christianity, by Roman Emperor Constantine. And so, yeah, I know, the Pope still claims that Christianity pre-existed. He was talking to comedians. And again, used the bigoted term, oops. And so all these years, Mormons, I have done according to prophecy. And even according to the dream that I had. And so I guess it's appropriate to repeat it. At the beginning of February, before I went to the book signing out in Elko, Nevada, under a sign in the heavens and a scriptural revelation from chapter 12, the flood at the end of the chapter, I had a dream, and in the dream I dreamed a dream, in which I dreamed that I was in a room, and it had a bed and table or shelving, and the table, I guess, and a desk and other stuff, and then had stuff on them. And I was packing. I had 3 suitcases that I had out on the bed, opened up, and was putting stuff in them. And my dad comes in, and I don't recall the conversation anymore. It's difficult to hear and remember lengthy conversations because I don't remember. It's associative memory. And something to the effect of me going on a mission. And closed the suitcases after I filled them and carried them outside. And it was a dirt road. I was at the top of a mountain. And I was carrying them to a pickup truck. And it was a dark navy blue. I don't think that really matters for this, but And as I was walking on this dirt gravel road towards the pickup truck, to my left, I saw 3 or 4 missionaries, little 18, 19-year-old kids. It's unclear of age. I can't distinguish between 18 and 19. I went when I was 19. Monson changed it to 18. That wasn't the point. They were missionaries, and they were frolicking through the forest, finding little bunny foo-foo and bopping them on the head. They were just walking through the forest, the grove of trees. And I see them, and I yell out to them, "I'm going on a mission too." For which they may have waved, I don't know. They went on their way. I got to the truck and put the suitcases in the back, and then got in the passenger side and woke up. 3 months later, I begin the collection of the records for the history of the people. Didn't know at the time that that's what I was doing and that that was my mission. And so then in July, I do the video thanks to the wife. She still wasn't satisfied, because the date that I gave in that video for a potential exodus, according to signs in the heavens, was on a Sunday. And that Sunday, the lesson in Sunday school was about Brigham Young's exodus. Here we are at the first year of the latter days, and the date that I gave was a reminder that we're going back, because Brigham Young took us away, kidnapped us, trafficked us, held us in bondage, because he's the great and abominable church. And so, after all these years being on YouTube, it's sad that there are still those of you who are brand new, who've been allowed by YouTube to finally find me. But now that you have, what are you doing? Do you believe? Are you running the test? Because the latter days are over. What does the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith warn you about if you do not look for the coming of your Christ, your true Christ? Are there none of you who read the ending of books to know how it ends before you begin reading it from the beginning? The beginning says it's the Christ of the religion of the Jews. The ending says, if you don't believe it, utter destruction awaits you. Real simple. And so Mormons, this is why you want to murder your Christ. This is why you hate me. You make excuses to not believe. My tone, you're offended. My presentation, it's not entertaining. You have no excuses. You have been warned. You should have been looking. You were told to look. You were told to watch. You were, but you didn't study to get the right information. You believed the lies, as we all were given. And so you don't understand that 17 July 2017, or I don't know what day it was, could have been the 24th, which would be weird. That's Pioneer Day. I don't remember the day, but YouTube won't let me know. I guess I could find it, and then I don't know. That would be ironic, but regardless, it is my accomplishments, my fruit, by which you can judge if I am a true prophet and revelator. You are supposed to run the test. You're supposed to be looking. And there, in that video, I prophesied, revealing the date of the prophecy in that video. Almost 40,000 views before YouTube finally figured out a way to shut it down. And would keep me suppressed all the rest of these years. And so those of you who are now banned because of your hate and your disbelief and your offense, you have no excuses. Jesus is not real just because you don't believe in me. Because you hate. This is what the enemy has tricked you into believing. That somehow the church is true if you can destroy me and murder me and silence me. How evil is that? You have been warned. You have no excuses. You are accountable. Just because you are unhappy with the white shirt standing at the bedside, the white shirt standing at the bedside, you seriously can't figure that out? You don't have associative memory like I do? Who else was wearing a white shirt standing at a bedside? Give you a hint. Scriptures. Give you another hint. Well, a number of prophets in Scripture. Not just Joseph Smith. Lehi's second vision, which is an exact same pattern match, before Joseph's second vision, the Lehi. And so, yeah, lots of other prophets. Joseph with the coming of Jesus. Remember, Christianity did not exist before Christianity. Joseph is having a dream at night, and people claim it's Gabriel. Doesn't say Gabriel. Other scriptures that were rejected as heathen says Gabriel. So why do Christians want to put in Gabriel when Christianity says no? Well, and so all these years, I've demonstrated that I possess all of the keys. Which keys am I supposed to have, Mormons? What keys are those belonging to the president of the true church? See, Brigham Young claims the keys of the presidency of the church are the keys of Peter, James, and John. Well, that's coincidental, because as the president of the Quorum of the 12, when Joseph Smith died, he had the keys of Peter, James, and John. So what keys did Joseph have? Was it Peter, James, and John to be the president of the church? But the president of the 12 has the keys of Peter, James, and John. I'm confused. Is it interchangeable? Was Joseph actually the president of the Quorum of the 12, so that Thomas B. Marsh, and then after he said, I'm out, and then did that affidavit to cause the extermination order of Mormons? So, Brigham Young, what's going on? How does it work? Yeah, there's other keys to be president of the church. Each quorum has their various keys. And so for the Quorum of the 12, it was Peter, James, and John. Moses, guys. Moses. The man like Moses. Those are the keys of the president of Joseph's church. Section 107, verse 91. He and he alone is a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. The patriarch, who was senior and then became Hiram, also is a prophet, seer, revelator, and patriarch, but not the head of the church. Only those two, nobody else. Counselors are just counselors. They are not presidents. They do not have the gifts of prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. If they desire to translate, yeah, what do you have to do? Seed into fruit. How do you obtain a seed? How do you obtain the word? You obtain the word. And then precept upon precept, line upon line, you gain knowledge of truth. Fruit. more commonly know him as the one mighty and strong. You don't know the man like Moses because the church purposely does not want you to know. They did not footnote correctly. They deceptively put in the footnotes, which is why they thought it was okay in 1982 for the first year of seminary, of which I was a part of, to teach us to study our scriptures using the footnotes, using the Bible dictionary, using the topical guide. And oh look, there's unfootnoted Joseph Smith translation, the back of the Bible. Yeah. But they will not footnote correctly. Because section 85, about the one mighty and strong, tells us about a man who is to set in order the temple. In verse 7. Verse 8, there's a man who has access to the Holy of Holies, who touches the Ark of the Covenant to steady it, and then is struck by lightning. Lightning strikes again. And you don't see the connection. Set in order the house of God. What is the house of God? The temple. So this other guy in verse 8, who's in the Holy of Holies of what building? The temple. And he steadies the ark. What does the Ark of the Covenant represent? Receiving prophecy, visions, revelations, as the president of the church. But he is not authorized and gets struck down. Because the one mighty and strong is to come and set the temple in order. And so we all know about this because many people, Mormons, over the course of time have believed that the president of the church has fallen and they're the one mighty and strong. And we all laugh at them because they failed. Well, did you run the test when they first made the claim? Or did you just wait for them to fail? See, it's too late for the enemy to murder me now, to destroy me. It's too late. I already fulfilled everything. Oops. And so, yeah, I am mortal. I will die. But that means that it's not Jesus. But I fulfilled everything. Nobody else fulfilled everything. Many people have made claims, but nobody seems to run the test. Everybody seems to say, well, you're not Jesus. You're not Jesus. Created before his creation. And so, Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Who's it talking about? A man like Moses. Verse 7. And then keep reading. verses 20 and 21. Who's it talking about? The false prophet. Verse 8. See what Joseph Smith was doing there? See why the church says it's a null and void prophecy? Because W.W. Phelps repented. Why are they covering this up and lying to us? Because they don't have authority. They deny the power of prophecy and revelation. They are the Methodist preacher. Literally, Brigham Young was Methodist. Joseph Smith is awesome. Which could be also why Brigham Young did not want that published. And it was not published until John Taylor. And so, yeah, it was kind of humiliating. Brigham Young had fled the country to England for a mission, while the Danites disobeyed Joseph Smith and went and created the city of Nauvoo in his absence. And of course they were making all these changes according to their changes, and sending out Times and Seasons articles to Brigham Young to keep him updated on their progress of their Plan B coup. And so, yeah, the Joseph Smith Papers shows all of those abominations that they were doing. Even baptisms for the dead was created by them, as they knew of what Joseph Smith Sr. had done to save the United States of America and get the Book of Mormon published to warn the world of what was coming in the latter days by the enemy. So, well, but denying, they would call Joseph Smith the seer to deceive other Mormons who were not part of it, to blame Joseph for what they were doing. They were mocking him. So, yeah. Deuteronomy 18 is directly plagiarized in several places. Acts, Joseph Smith History, verse 40, which the second vision. There's a reason. And 3rd Nephi, is it 2022, 23, something like that? It's Jesus. And so, supposedly in Acts, he already came during the Roman period of time, fulfilling everything, and failed miserably. Because that's what it says. The coming of a man like Moses. And Acts, according to the interpretation of Christianity, before Christianity was interpreted, Jesus came in those gospel stories, which were completely separate books. Those after the creation of Christianity were the ones to first compile a Bible together, approving and disapproving Scripture to be put in, and put them in the order they put them in, And because of Constantine, they put them in a chronological historical order. Not supposed to do that. They're all separate books. Prophecies and revelations about a future time. And so, indirectly, you see 2 Nephi chapter 3 is one example of indirect, as well as Doctrine and Covenants, section 103, verse 16. Notice the church does not want those correctly footnoted. Notice how I'm able to footnote them. I've told you the story. I was part of the revision of the footnotes. I was elevated to the highest committee because I was good at the footnote project. I was the second youngest person involved in that project, but I was the best. I also had the Jesus card because of the first divorce. I had to be approved by the president of the church for that project. And yeah, despite being approved by Jesus, there were Mormons trying to attack me, to get me off the project, because there were footnotes that they didn't like being made. I still remember to this day, on Deuteronomy 18, David Gaunt brought in the papers for us to work on. I had already done them. We were now reviewing it because we're the top committee. And he comes in and says, it's Jesus. And so, yeah, he didn't like my footnoting. And so what is now in there is a result of what they approved. And look at that, I still have the internet up. I was intending to go over the internet, what YouTube is recommending to me, because I'm not allowed to see YouTube when I'm signed in, so I can only see YouTube signed out. So 18 pluses I can't watch, even though I'm well in the age of an adult. Antiguo Testamento and Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. So, in Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19, when we get back to it, the original from 1982's complete edition, and I say 82 rather than 81 because Kimball stopped the presses, threw all that tree away, and redid it with another testament of Jesus Christ on the Book of Mormon. And so, verse 15, we have 15a, which refers us to a repetition of it in 34:10. Footnote B, for prophet. The first one was raise up. We have Acts 3:22. parentheses 22 to 23. Acts 7:37. 1 Nephi 22:21. 3 Nephi 20:23. Joseph Smith History 140. And then TG, Jesus Christ, Mission of. TG, Jesus Christ, Prophecies About. And then there's others in 16 and 18. And then we get to 20. And so in 16, it's Exodus 20:19, Deuteronomy 5:25, and TG, Hard-Heartedness. 18, TG, Jesus Christ, Prophecies About, which was redundant because it's already in 15. Say they instructed me on what to do. And I've gone over that with you. We're not going to do that again. Just understand that I know what I'm talking about. B, John 8:28, John 12:49, parentheses 49 to 50, John 17:8, Doctrine and Covenants 138, C, John 4:25, John 12:50. Okay? It's quite a lot. Now, this is what I did and what they approved. There's 15A for profit. And they have Hekos 3:20 to 23, 3 Nephi 20 to 23, and Joseph Smith History 140. This is me, what they allowed. Notice what's missing? In 16A, that's it. We have Exodus 20:19. So it was kept. And also Deuteronomy 5:25. Notice what's missing. 18. We just have A instead of A, B, and C. And 18A is on palabras. And we have Juan 8:28, Juan 12:49 to 50, Juan 17:8, Doctrina E or Y, Cavenios 138. Notice what's missing. And David Gaunt comes in and says to all of us, which was 4, so the 3 of us, he says, it's Jesus. And notice what's missing. There's a reason for that, and it's in section 107. We have to be in complete agreement. If somebody disagrees, nothing gets changed. And so, because we have to get rid of the TGs, because there's a guide to the scriptures now, there is no topical guide for the Spanish speaking and for other foreign languages that would come thereafter. They just have to get dropped, because there was a disagreement on Jesus, and thus I was attacked. Just like Avraham Gileadi was attacked with the first round of footnoting. He's the one who put in Hebrews. Notice in verse 14a, for these nations which shalt possess. You'll see footnote A, O-R, dispossess. Is it? What's O-R? Well, it's because Avraham Gileadi put in a suggestion and it was rejected. Or it was the other guy. Because I'm pretty sure if Avraham Gileadi was doing this, we would see a lot more ORs. It's supposed to be an HEB. And it's not. It's an OR. And so yes, we were told to get rid of those too. So, I'm done with this. And so I've been teaching you all these years that the scripture's stories, which are now considered literal history, thanks to Constantine, were prophecies and revelations. And thus why you can use the direct prophecies from Deuteronomy, the law of the Jews, and other of the prophets who make statements of prophecy. For unto us a child is given, unto us a child is born, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and he shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Salem. Peace. And then you have other stories. Genesis. It's a whole bunch of stories. Just story after story after story after story, and they repeat the same pattern over and over and over again. There are brothers. They have a disagreement. Birthright and blessing is usurped. Until Joseph, who is the Christ of Genesis, despite each and every single story having a different Christ. And so thus, Joseph Smith. He's a man like Moses. So says 2 Nephi chapter 3. Joseph Smith, by section 107, 91, and 92, is calling himself the Christ. Because that is the position of the president of the church. All the stories are done on purpose to explain in greater detail the prophecies in textual form. And so thus Matthew, Jewish author, is telling a story and constantly tells us it's from the prophecies of Isaiah. How do you spell Isaiah in Paleo-Hebrew? How do you spell Jesus in Paleo-Hebrew? Look for patterns. This is why the Jewish author named his character Jesus, because it's about the story form of the prophecies of Isaiah. And so thus in chapter 1, he's talking about the birth of Jesus. And so he tells a story of Isaiah's prophecy of the birth of Jesus, and even quotes from Isaiah. But strangely, he doesn't say it's from Isaiah. He just says the prophet. Which is strange, because Deuteronomy 18:15, the Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet. This is the learning of the Jews. They are not literal history. This is why science keeps mocking and laughing at Christians who believe the Bible is literal history. But scientists never do scientific research on the Bible. They just hastily conclude it's fake. And then you'd have the Zeitgeist movement come around with Dorothy Murdoch. While I was beginning to work on the vocabulary of Paleo-Hebrew, running the tests, having deciphered the script, because I can't just stop there. I got to figure out how Joseph Smith translated from the King Follett Discourse, the biblical Hebrew text, and found out he was correct. But yeah, there was a group of us that were explaining to people that the Bible stories are not just fake, they're plagiarized from the Egyptian documents. So the brass plates, remember those? What language were they in? What were they similar to, but had more in them? Why do we have only what we have in our current form? Well, the Book of Mormon tells Nephi it's because of a great and abominable church. Gotta pay attention, because the Book of Mormon is not literal history. It should have caught on because it puts the starting time period pre-Babylonian captivity Jews who were Egyptian. And then you have Zedekiah put on the throne. Strength of Yah. But he's the false Christ. They had a theocracy back then. He was the King of Kings, but also the great high priest, thus Melchizedek. He's the false prophet who's touching the Ark of the Covenant. See what the Book of Mormon author is doing there? Remember, it's the rewritten 116 pages, which linguistic scientists have determined Sidney Rigdon did not rewrite them. Somebody else rewrote them. And it's not Joseph Jr. But it plagiarizes Senior's Tree of Life dream. There's Jewish Kabbalah in it. There's also Yorkite Freemasonry in it. That's curious. Who, contemporary in the early 1800s, was a Jewish Kabbalist and a York Rite Freemason. Yep, you're welcome, ex-foes. Senior. He had to rewrite the 116 pages, as Junior is in timeout for a whole year. Not just a couple of months, because Bruce R. McConkie changed the date. Well, and so, yeah, you're supposed to know the prophecies. You're supposed to know that the Christ is going to explain Scripture for you. Yeah, I did it again. Just in another presentation. Different thumbnail picture. But are you fulfilling prophecy? And which one are you fulfilling? The enemy or the believers? Because this year, oops. Yeah, there it is. We all know what's coming. As I can only watch the news not signed in, so when the news is graphic, I'm not allowed to watch. Because YouTube's attacking me with a hate crime. I am the Christ of Mormons, and YouTube is committing cyber terrorist hate crimes against me, making false accusations to justify punishing me, denying me religious freedom as a religious leader. Because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has to be true. But if they commit crimes and hate, they're not true. They're supposed to love. Because if they're true, they don't need to worry about me. My fruit will prove I'm false. Oops. It's Nelson's fruit that's been proven false. Been doing the videos all this time. That's why they want me destroyed. They want me murdered. And apparently they've succeeded in keeping you from figuring this out. That nobody is coming to my defense against this great and abominable church. Not my government, not Mormons, not ex-foes. Nobody. I have a handful of followers for years now. I don't hear from you all the time, but occasionally you let me know you're still around. But other ex-foes are popular. Mormons are popular. The church obviously is still popular. Just me. Not catching on? Does the devil want me to succeed? Nope. He wants to take over and be in power. and you can't figure this out. See, the majority of Mormons aren't even listening. I'm just rambling. This is for the large portion of plates. Well, it could be the small portion because it's the ministry and the videos that YouTube bans get put on the sealed portion. But yeah, Bill Maher, I'm allowed to watch his overtime and his new rules. And so that's how I found out it's Father's Day tomorrow. Doesn't matter. I have to consider my kids dead or I would be unfunctionable. And so as a result, everybody says, well, I had my opportunity. I don't get another opportunity. Right, women? Because if I were to marry somebody my age, they've already hit menopause. Thus, no family. And so people say, I'm too old, I'm denied a family. So, what about Jesus? I mean, he's way older than me. The Catholic Church already has it set up that all the nuns are his wives. So when Jesus comes to the Pope and says, I'm here, all nuns will line up to be bred by Jesus for the millennium. Because they're his wives. They are married to Jesus, the great polygamist. Men don't get women, Jesus gets them all. Wow. All those immaculate conceptions. They never think about these things. They just assume that the first creed is true and don't think of the consequences, because it would show it's false. But it's not much better with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because all Mormons know we're going to practice polygamy in the millennium. Really? Are you? As just an elder, you're going to practice polygamy, you think, huh? There are going to be that many extra women to go around, huh? So yeah, Bill Maher was talking about how bump stocks were overturned in the court, Supreme Court. Said bump stocks are okay. And you need to understand that these people are doing what they do because they want the kingdom to come. There will be Jesus's. And so why do they want people to be armed with machine guns called bump stocks? Because of the Civil War that's coming. They overthrew Roe v. Wade, allowed abortion pills still, but yeah, that's still gonna be challenged. It's just gotta be done better. But now they've allowed for bump stocks. for the coming Civil War. SCOTUS just armed Americans for the Civil War. And I've been telling you, and I've been putting in the picture repeatedly lately, of the prophecy and the revelation of 3rd Nephi chapter 7. They are causing the fall of America to build the kingdom of Jesus, taking away agency by overthrowing the Constitution, murdering innocent people, threatening people to obey Christian standards and values, programming AI to control the behavior of Americans, and punishing when they violate. Right, YouTube? I am being threatened to deny myself and to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I can't do that. Jesus is a fraud. He didn't show. I showed. As Lucifer stood before Moses, demanding that Moses worship him, as Moses is in the image of Yah, the man like Moses is the man like Yah. The man like Yah is the man like Moses. And Lucifer appears and says, I'm the Christ. Worship me. He gets very angry. Nelson. Prophecy fulfilled. And so thus why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is attacking me by lying and deceiving you, constantly repeating it's Jesus. Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus. We're Christian. So that you are weaponized against me. That you won't believe the truth, and all you had to do was produce the results of the Word. They won't let you do it because you'd find out that they're lying and deceiving you. And so those of you who do believe, are you sharing my word? I know it's kind of tough because you too will become a target of hate. But if I were to be treated equally, I shouldn't be getting less than 5 views per hour now, YouTube. Because back in 2017, 40,000? Wow. That, because of the escalation over time, should be a regular video number. Because it is with others, whether they be Mormon, the church, or ex-foes who do videos. I'm treated differently on purpose. Just because I'm doing this alone doesn't mean that you guys should betray me and fulfill prophecy. But yeah, if you kept reading section 80 or section 45, you would eventually see that Mormons will figure it out, but they're the survivors, because I already put my foot on the mount, already was wounded in my hands and feet. Joseph Smith adds hands or feet? Feet. He adds feet. So are you pulling a Constantine, Mormons? Oh, that's because Jesus was crucified on a cross. Science is wrong. They had crosses. We're done. Dear God. So, yeah, I'm still in limbo on what project to do next. I have the Book of Mormon, but I just lost momentum as I spent my time pushing to get the complete works of Joseph Smith published on Academia. And so now I'm just in limbo as to what project to do next, because we know this election we're doomed, and survivors, you know, I've told you what's going to happen. Because they don't believe in me, Mormons are going to do one of several different options. One is to stand their ground here in Utah and try to survive. The other is flee, and one version of fleeing would be to go to a place where they have family or friends, the nation likewise, but also to where their political affiliations lie. So Texas will have people fleeing who are attacked by Republicans, and so they'll have to flee to a more Democrat-leaning state. The states that are, you know, purple, those will be the more bloody states when this happens, as the fight will be over whether they will become a red or a blue state. And so Mormons likewise will go to the state where they have friends and family that think like they do, and thus abandon the church, because the prophets have already fled to avoid the war. Section 101, verse 51. And so, yeah, the church, however, has set it up so that Mormons dominate in the police force and the military and the government, so that they can hand it over to the church. And so it's a matter of whether or not they can withstand the attack by those who don't want to conform and comply to the church's millennial Zion, as the church will be a purge of those who don't want to be a part of their Zion, and thus the war will begin over that here in Utah, whereas the rest of the nation is different. Evangelicals will be pushing to have Jesus' kingdom in the states where they are dominant, which happen to be MAGA states. And so, yeah, you'll have some Mormons who will believe, like I was led to believe growing up, as the first video talks about, that we go to Missouri. Well, the Mormons in Missouri don't want you. They've made that clear to me. And so, yeah, but Missouri also will be at war. Independence is right there by Jackson City. Jackson City, Missouri, right? St. Louis is the one on the East Coast. And Jackson City is both states. Right? Or is it Kansas City? It's Kansas City, isn't it? Gotta waste more time bringing up the internet. Waiting for it to load. It's just not doing it. Kansas City. It took time for the Google to figure out where my new location was. There's still, my Urim and Thummim still thinks I'm in West Valley City. But yeah, you'll have Mormons who will flee to Missouri thinking that this is it. And then when they get there, the church won't be there. And then they'll attempt to build, but being close to Kansas City, they will have to be at war. And so that will be a problem, because they don't know that the actual location is in southern Illinois. And so, yeah, I've been deeply concerned as to how Mormons will go to the right place and build up Zion. But like I said, utter destruction. If Mormons don't believe, they're never going to follow me, even if I survive. Even if I'm able to find transportation to get everything to the right location. And I can't build Zion by myself. Zion is you. It's the people. And so if there are no people, and, you know, if we have all men, yeah, I only have men who are following me for years. Great. We can't produce babies. Kind of need women. And so, yeah, it's deeply concerning that mankind has been so deceived by psychologists. Because nuns and monks, because the Catholic Church tells their people that the highest form of godliness that man can achieve is no touchy, no sex. And so denying them sex has resulted in the sex abuse scandals of the Catholic Church. So the Church of Jesus Christ denies Mormons sex, and the natural consequences are sex abuses. But 2 men cannot produce a baby. 2 women cannot produce a baby, no matter what Star Trek tells us. No, what other creatures on Earth tell us. We are human. We are all human. There are only 2 human sex identifications, according to science. Female have egg, male have seed. Seed penetrates the egg. That is the only way to replicate humans, even if done in a lab, which the Senate said no to in vitro fertilization. Because they think it's ungodly. It's still done the same process. The cloning? No. It's the same process. Seed, egg, baby. Cloning is just taking an egg, stripping it of its nucleus, and putting the nucleus of a person into the egg. Clone. Called twin. When it's the same egg and same seed, it's an identical twin. It's not a clone. But they want to trick you. They want to scare you. And so, how does a trans produce babies? Which of the letters of LGBTQIAPO+ do they breed with? See the confusion? Because if we were to play it out, there would be no breeding. The human race would cease to exist. An enemy hath done this. LGBTQIAPO+ are already human. They were already protected under the 14th Amendment, Section 1. Babies are citizens and are to be given equal rights. And yet, what is the enemy doing to destroy America? Oh, you're not the right color. You're not the right sex identification. You're not the right religion. You're not the right nationality. That is the enemy. We are all human. And yet people are trying to force your agency, to take it away from you. You have to believe them. You have to think and feel and do what they want you to do. And so, what is social media doing? Why did they ban me? Because I did not conform and comply to their will for me. So I had to be punished. So anyway, it's now going on to a 2-hour tour. And so yeah, we don't have priesthood meetings, guys. We're not discussing plans for this election. We don't have women. We need a planet of women. And unfortunately, several of you have been getting divorced, as I was at the beginning. Although it wasn't a divorce, it was an annulment, so it's kind of confusing because it never happened. We were never married, but yet the church still keeps our record of sealing in the temple, Salt Lake Temple, room number 13, where we then went and had our wedding photos taken at the doors of the Salt Lake Temple with the keystone of Lucifer, and then had our wedding supper feast at the Lion House next to the Beehive House. And then she would cut my hair, and then she betrayed me, and prophecy fulfilled. Yeah, you notice Samson was a Danite? Hilarious. So yeah, only through my mom's Yearsley side. That's it. Everybody else, nope. So yeah, my mom's father is where I get my balding pattern from. And it's strange that people would attack me for my appearance during these years. That somehow, because I'm ugly and unattractive and balding and graying and losing my muscular physique, that somehow I'm false. What are you using as your standard of judgment? Well, and now people are turning to, my room is a mess. Really? How is this a mess? Seriously, how is this a mess? I mean, sure, the bed isn't made. You know, there are wrinkles on it, but it's still in a position where I can just crawl right in and pull it's made. Nothing to be complicated about. But the covers are on this computer. I'm not using it now, so it's being protected from dust, so I don't have to clean. And these get washed once a month. And these are for this system. So I put them all out of the way over there, rather than on my bed. And the boxes, how are they messy? I mean, yeah, the tape is old. That was when I was threatened back in 2020. I had the Mormons in the federal court said, no, we will not let Mormons go. And so the church ordered my landlord to order the property manager to wrongfully get rid of me so that they can turn the apartment into a psycho asylum, because I was not their customer, their victim, and so I had to go. But it's illegal, but that didn't stop them. They've got the church protecting them. And so yeah, in 2022 they finally ruined me sufficiently to get me out. And so I was in Gail Miller's concentration camp of human trafficking. And now I'm hearing in the news that they're planning on a big old concentration camp, huge, to have all the homeless go to. And so, thus, instead of providing homes for the homeless, they're going to build a great big spacious building for the homeless and pay a corporation to run it. And thus the homeless will perpetually be homeless, not get places to live, and will continue to be kept in poverty as homeless, but they're off the streets. So they don't care to solve the homeless problem by housing the homeless. They're trying to figure out other ways to keep the homeless homeless, to keep them poor. They don't want to help and treat people as equal. They're denying them property. They're denying them life and liberty, because these shelters are taking away liberty. You know them by their fruits. Plus, if you can gather them all together in one, they're easier to exterminate. That's what they tried previously. Those of you who are not in Utah, yeah, your gathering is different. And so there will be those of you who see the chaoses in the United States and stay where you are and build your own Zion. There are those of you who will want to come to America to the defense of the church. There will be those who think we got to get to Missouri. There will be those of you who, well, there's only a few of you, you're guys, who know about Southern Illinois. And so you'll know when it happens, this election. Because when it happens, Putin, Xi, Kim, and others will rise up, because America will be distracted with a civil war, and thus the whole world will be at war, and thus will also factor in as to whether you stay where you are or whether you go and where you go. And so the world will be likened unto the United States, where Americans will determine whether they stay and fight, whether they flee to a more of their party affiliation. And likewise in the world, you will flee to a country that will be more in tune with your party affiliation, as the European Union is turning Nazi. And that ought to go well with the Israelis. As Hezbollah is now picking up the pace Bacani sauce after the 4 hostages that were freed in the latest rescue by the Israelis. As, again, Islam, I told you this is their pattern. You saw it. They got exposed this time as hostages were freed. And so now, because they got exposed, Hezbollah is now stepping up. But also, you're getting witnesses coming forward to claim, oh, there were too many innocent Israelis who were murdered for just those 4, Islamists murdered for just 4 Israelis. Really? Their denialism knows no bounds. Just pure evil. And they've got the whole world believing them. So, I'm not shutting up, am I? I'm almost treating it as if this is my last and final video. Could be. I told YouTube yesterday, if you're gonna shut me down, just do it. Quit torturing me and abusing me. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to remember to put this as the main picture on the home page that shows that I'm not allowed to watch it. So still gotta figure out a theme song in the description below, and a thumbnail picture. So, Father's Day, yippee-ki-yay. Ode to Die Hard, perfect.